Welcome back to part 2 of this 2-part review. So I've just finished having a look at Bulleit Bourbon. I'm about to have a look at Bulleit Rye. So this is my glass from the previous review of Bulleit Bourbon, so I'm going to leave that there. So I'm going to have to try really hard not to get these mixed up, because I don't know how they've done this, but they are staggeringly close in colour. Let's say that the rye whiskey may be a little bit paler, but there's really not a lot in it. I guess if they're being matured in the same type of casks in the same environment, that's probably why. I suppose if the mash bill of a whiskey probably doesn't affect how much colour it extracts from the wood, so that might be why, but it has to be said that cosmetically they seem to be very similar whiskies. Although it has to be said that there are a lot of rumours and a lot of information to back up the fact that this Bulleit Rye may actually be a sourced rye whiskey, so there may be nothing in common between these two whiskies at all. But saying that, from my experience, sourced rye whiskies often tend to be quite good, so let's see what we've got. So on the nose, I'm going to say that the Bulleit Rye is very smooth and sweet. I'd actually say that it's probably a little bit more refined than the Bulleit Bourbon, and I shouldn't be doing this yet because it's not time to do the head-to-head. But yeah, I would definitely say that although there's definitely that rye character in the Bulleit Rye, it's got that lemony grassiness that you tend to get on a rye whiskey and the spice that everyone talks about. But I would say that beneath that, it is a little bit more of a subdued, subtle whiskey. But you definitely have got that layer of character from the rye on this one. You've got quite a nice spiciness, a little bit of black pepper, licorice, and also some freshly sawn wood on this one, similar to what you had in the Bulleit Bourbon. So I must admit that I don't know what the logistics are of a sourced bourbon. I kind of assumed that you just told the rye distillery what you wanted and they shipped your product and you bottled it and labelled it and sold it. But I think there is a little bit of evidence here that if this is a sourced product, which a lot of people seem to think it is, it does actually smell like it may be matured in the same way as Bulleit Bourbon. There's definitely some common ground there. So I'm getting what I would regard as some fairly trademark rye whiskey notes here. It's quite floral on the nose. Getting some notes of some sweet and mild lemon flavoured confectionery, lemon flavoured sweets. A little hint of Parma violets there. And I think if you really look for it on the nose, there's a little hint of orange and milk chocolate too. Let's see how it tastes. This is the Bulleit Rye whiskey. So on the palate, I'm getting some sweet lemon sherbet and sawdust notes, as well as a general flavour of light, rounded citrusy notes, not necessarily lemon, but just an undefined citrus character, as well as a little hint of Parma violets as well. There's actually a little hint of soapiness, which I don't mind in small quantities. I think that's quite nice. A little bit of a lemon soap flavour, and a rather nice, again, fairly stereotypical rye flavour of rather earthy, mouldy grassiness. Again, the mouthfeel, I would say, is neck and neck on these two whiskies. I'd say that they've both got a really nice, enveloping, syrupy, really good mouthfeel. As for the finish on the Bulleit Rye, I'm going to say it's fairly long and sweet, with more of that sweet lemon and grassiness, but the finish is quite mild. I think compared to the Bulleit Bourbon, it's definitely a much milder finish. So what mark am I going to give to Bulleit Rye? I'm going to give it a B, so that's a 4 point up from the mark that I gave to the Bulleit Bourbon. And I think the reason for that really is that me, myself, as a Scotch drinker, I do appreciate an American whiskey that really stands out and does something different. I would say that this Bulleit Rye is not the best rye that I've had. That honour probably goes to the High West Double Rye whiskey, which I believe is also a sourced whiskey, but this one's not too far behind. So thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments what you think of sourced whiskies, whether you think that Bulleit Rye is a sourced whisky, and what you think of Bulleit Bourbon compared to Bulleit Rye. Cheers.